Okay.
All
Yay.
right.
Smart.
All by myself. Okay, so we have a pile of passages from Genesis. Um, does anybody want to give us a synopsis of those passages or some of them?
Oh gosh.
What do we have? We have the,
Murder of Cain.
yeah, well, we've even before that, we have
Oh yeah.
we have, well, yeah, I guess we do. We have Cain and Abel and the murder of Cain murders Abel. And then we have
Noah.
The
Noah,
wickedness of mankind.
Noah.
I thought his writing about Noah was really interesting.
Okay.
I got a lot out of that. I don't know if we need to read the passage itself or not.
Let's see. The biblical passage of Noah.
Yeah, the
Let's
Genesis.
see, 7, 1,
That's 7.
1 through, let's do that one. Let's read 7, Genesis 7, 1 through 5. Has anybody got that open yet?
Actually, I do. And I'm reading from the New Interpreter Study Bible. The Great Flood. Then Noah, the Lord said to Noah, "Go into the ark, you and all your household, for I have seen that you alone are righteous before me in this generation. Take with you 7 pairs of all clean animals, the male and its mate, and a pair of the animals that are not clean, the male and its mate, and 7 pairs of the birds of the air, also male and female, to keep their kind alive on the face of all the earth. For in 7 days I will send rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. Every living thing I have made will blot out from the face of the ground." And Noah did all that the Lord had commanded him.
Yeah.
Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters came on the earth. And Noah, with his sons and his wife and his sons' wives, went into the ark to escape the waters of the flood, of clean animals and animals that are not clean, and of birds and of everything that creeps on the ground.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably far enough.
That's through 8.
Yeah, that's good. Good. And then let's see, 8, 1, the flood subsides, and then 9,
5. I'm sorry.
7 is the covenant. Okay.
The
So
covenant.
we've got all of that. We've got Psalm 51. Psalm 51. Oh, I marked it. There it is right there. And then we have James. James 4, 1 through 8. Did he McLaren spend much time with that one?
No.
Didn't seem like he did. Yeah.
James.
So maybe we should spend a little time. That's not a lot of verses. So James 4, 1 through 8. Friendship with the world is what it says.
Peter, is he after James? No.
Does anybody have James 4, 1 through 8?
I do.
Why don't you read them?
Okay. Which is 1 through 8. This is from the NRSV. Those conflicts and disputes among you, where do they come from? Do they not come from your cravings that are at war within you? You want something and do not have it, so you commit murder, and you covet something and cannot obtain it, so you engage in disputes and conflicts. You do not have because you do not ask. You ask and do not receive because you ask wrongly, in pleasure, in order to spend what you get on your pleasures. Adulterers, do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity with God? Therefore, whoever wishes to be a friend of the world becomes an enemy of God. Or do you suppose that the scripture speaks to no purpose?
Mhm.
Does the spirit that God caused to dwell in us desire envy? But God gives all the more grace. Therefore, it says, God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Submit yourselves, therefore, to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double minded.
He does address that. Maybe not in a particular way, but he does talk about that. Third,
It seems like James is summing up
yeah,
all the lessons before.
yeah, that's
Yeah, you see the Noah, you see the Genesis things in that.
yeah, yeah. How late is James? Accepted by the church in Alexandria in the 3rd century.
So it's late, right?
But authorship sounds. Yeah. No, it suggests that the authorship is not so late, but that its acceptance into the canon was late. So possibly as early as 70. My
700.
7D, 70. It's authorship. So
Oh, that would,
there's a
yeah, but
difference.
that would be before Paul
There's a
or about.
difference between its authorship and its being accepted as canon. So that's what took so long. Yeah, 70 puts it into
Well, the Gospels, right?
yeah,
That would put
pretty
it in the
yeah,
era of the Gospels.
yeah. But there's a lot of ifs around that. If this was James of Jerusalem, then it was written early. If it's Jimmy Christ, Jesus's brother,
Other.
then that's another date. That could
Wasn't
have
he
been
one of the he was one of
earlier.
the first
Yeah,
martyrs?
one of the it could have been even earlier than that. Okay.
Um,
Okay. Well,
in this reading, one of the things that just jumped out at me was right towards the end. Yell aloud no to the devil and watch him scamper. Say a quiet yes to God, and he'll be there in no time at all. And
What chapter was
I
that?
guess in my head, I was thinking the quiet yes, so you can actually hear then
Mm.
what he has to say, and
So
you don't want to.
is that still the message?
Yeah.
So read that again. I want to hear that scampering part.
Yell aloud no to the devil and watch him scamper. Say a quiet yes to God, and he'll be there in no time.
Huh.
One interest, yeah.
Oh, yell aloud no to the devil, and he will scamper.
He scampers.
You need to yell lots of loud no's,
Mhm.
watching that devil scamper.
Mhm.
That's something. That's a very good one.
Yeah, I like that.
But that, my group last night, we're reading through Matthew as we read Matthew for the Sunday morning lectionary readings. We decided we were just going to read through Matthew. And so we're in the early section where Matthew's got healing stories interspersed with calling stories. And we got sidelined on the taking the demons out of the guys and throwing them into the swines, the pigs, and that we went into what is the nature of evil, and what is a demon? So we kind of got a little bit sidetracked on that. But this really pulls a picture, doesn't it, of yelling no to the to Satan. What I mean, what's that like? And watch an evil scamper.
You know, and the picture I have in my head is someone with their hands over their
Mm.
ears yelling no and blah 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 blah, you know, just not letting any of it in if you can help it.
But well, and not listening. So the second half
Yeah.
of that second half of that sentence is incredibly important, and then listening to the voice of God
Mhm.
about what should be done.
Mhm.
So let's go. I want to go back to Anne Wonky and your reaction about the Noah story. You said that McLaren had written something that was quite interesting to you. Can you? I think I know what you're thinking about, but can you point that out? 'Cause I think he's right when he says that we really do kind of consider this Noah story as a children's story. I mean, and we tell it in that way. So anyway, go ahead, Anne.
Yeah, and as a side effect, Paula, do you remember the Wednesday school song, Noah, Noah, da, 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 da?
Oh,
We
there's
had
all
a
sorts of
song
good
about
Noah
Noah. All right, so, well, the thing is that I always, he writes in there somewhere, and I can't find the page exactly. All the innocent people who are drowned.
Mhm.
You know, the whole point of the violence of that. Oh yeah, it's on the bottom of the page, chapter 5. It says the image of violent oppressors and innocent victims drowning together seems only to make a bad situation worse. At the very least, one would think God would have more creativity, finesse, and foresight than to create a good world only to destroy it because it went bad so quickly. Shouldn't God be better than this? And then he goes on to talk about the oral cultures and
Yeah.
how it's added on, and you know, who knows who added what. But you know, I was thinking about that, you know, well, all those animals really didn't do anything.
Mhm. And I think that's, I mean, his first observation that this is a deeply disturbing story.
Yeah.
And then the second observation that a flood story, we can look at every ancient culture and find the flood story.
Mhm.
And so that this has been added to and changed and added to and changed as oral composition stories evolve over time. So we need to I think just put a bookmark in that
Okay.
that we understand that ancient stories evolve, that people tell them differently depending on what point they want to make. I mean, I think for me, this is a yes and it's an ancient story that tells us what does
About
it? I mean, what does it tell us? Does it tell us about God? Does it tell us about
yeah.
humanity? Um,
Well, to
And Noah
me, in
goes
some
on.
respects, it's no less disturbing than Cain and Abel
well,
because
true, yeah.
because God set that up.
yeah. Well, and we have
Yeah.
Jacob and Esau. That is a terribly disturbing story as well.
Yeah,
You know, why did God reject the one?
exactly.
We don't know.
Yeah.
And we don't know who the teller was, what he was trying, the teller was trying to say.
Mhm.
And just and look down the line what it caused.
Mhm.
You know, the bad prevailed,
Yeah.
basically.
I think there's an element of randomness that prevails also.
Mm.
That the innocent, who we suppose the innocent are, go down with those who are not innocent, those who are evil. I mean, war does that. That horrible flood in Texas last year,
You read my mind. You read my mind, Jane. Mhm.
where the girls, that girls' camp where so many perished.
Yeah.
How do you
The
explain that? I can't, other than thinking that part of part of evil is randomness?
That's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, so there's a couple of things. One, if the Old Testament tries to put together a case for Yahweh, the one God,
Yeah.
it does a terrible job of that. And so that sits there for me. And I say that in the sense that it really does outline how messy humanity is, right? Just how messy humanity. And God created humanity in that messy way. So I mean, I think that we just have to almost fully accept that. But Jane, that thought about, I mean, I wonder if putting all of these thoughts together, I wonder if we can say something like, or we can equate evil and chaos, because one of the major themes is God creates order out of chaos, right?
Yes.
So is the banishing, is the scampering away of evil about somehow creating some order, God creating order? Which if as all metaphors go, if you go too far with that, then we get into the problem of us trying to be in control. Um, and that doesn't get us anywhere good either. Um, but I wonder if that's as a concept is true that um, evil is banished as chaos. I don't know.
In these stories that we read, God is present. He tells us what he's going to do. He does it. And like we sort of know why. But in today, when these bad things happen, we're not privy to what he's thinking. And so
Yeah.
how do we know that he doesn't have his hand in these bad things? I have trouble believing
Yeah.
a lot of what I read in the Old Testament because I don't believe that he would do something like.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, that's why I think that the case for Yahweh is not made very well, and mostly because what we get is storytelling, and humans, men, are so incredibly present in those stories that they really become about them, right? Not really about God. So I'm with you, Paula. I'm not. I don't understand. I can't understand. I can't go with the cause and effect kind of thing. God makes these bad things happen. I can't do that. But I think McLaren has a clue for us on page 21. He's gone to the Tower of Babel story, and in that very middle paragraph, I think he's got some really good stuff. The tower building is exposed as another form of rivalry with God. So, I mean, he brings that back to the very beginning, that the garden story is about rivalry. God opposes their soaring ambition of assimilation and domination. God diversifies the languages of the Babylonian Empire so that its ambition of global empire fails, memorialized forever in an unfinished tower. This new version of an old story is a big step in the right direction. Later, when we come to the story of Pentecost and the Acts of the Apostles, we'll see another giant step forward, revealing God even more beautifully and fully. Together, in the next paragraph, they reveal an ever fuller and deeper vision of God. We come to know a God who consistently refuses to support a pyramid economy, the few at the top and the masses at the bottom. I mean, I think that that's
He's not doing so well now.
but that speaks to the sort of the can I use the word evolution? Of the storytelling around God and what that storytelling. I mean, it's again Peter Enns' concept of wisdom changes the story. So I think that's working in it very, very much. And then, it brings us to the living God doesn't uphold the status quo, but repeatedly disrupts it and breaks it open so that something better can emerge and evolve. I think that that's the piece that happens over and over. I think that piece is also part of the pattern that happens over and over. And we find ourselves today in the midst of this disruption. I hope. I think, maybe. I don't know. Sharon.
So, a couple of things. Number one, in that first paragraph that you read, assimilation seems like such an odd choice of word to me.
Why do you think that's an odd choice?
Well, I don't know. I mean, because generations of immigrants in this country, at any rate, have sought assimilation.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a big deal to my grandparents for their children to be good Americans.
My great-grandparents.
And
Why they chose, yes.
anyway, so that seemed like an odd choice to me. And the last paragraph, it's not, the world is in a terrible place right now. I don't think any one of us would disagree with that. And
Goodbye.
and we are in a place where the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer.
Yeah.
And the prosperity gospel would have you believe that that's the way God intends it to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
And people are dying because of this, and not just, one or two at a time. And we're not that many years off from the Holocaust. Enough apparently for people to think it never happened, but we're not that far off from it, which
Really?
was a horrible thing. I mean, World War II was horrible. And you read the Old Testament, and these bad things come one after another, after another, after another. And nothing is so different now.
Right.
Look how quickly World War II happened after World War I. It wasn't even enough time for England to recover, to have enough men to go fight
Again.
in
And
World War
Korea
II.
and Korea right after World War
Well,
II.
I mean,
Yes.
if you were to, I remember Phyllis Tickle's book on the Great Emergence.
I haven't read that.
It's a great book. And what she says in that book is that that we are, we're only she describes things in 500-year cycles. And so we are only in the fourth 500-year cycle since Jesus. So, I mean, the question that I was entertaining to asking is, um, do we see evidence that God acts on behalf of God's people um, to um, sort of to make things better, and part of my answer to that is I think that World War One, World War Two, Korea, I mean, it's still all one thing, right? In the kind of the grand scheme of epochs, the violence of the modern world is a continuing story. Yes,
But the violence of the ancient world
but
is no different.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
And what is it? What does God, I mean, what's the activity in that? Is God gonna, I mean, do we see God capable of a flood that destroys us all? So that it has to start all over again. And what about the innocents that are destroyed in
Anything.
in that kind of story?
Violence, yeah.
Mm.
I guess I really wasn't gonna talk about this, but
Mhm.
many of the ancients believed that the creation story started as unity, and the gods came along and tore it apart. And that what we are really doing is trying to get back to unity. And I can see that in the Old Testament,
Yeah.
in Genesis, that there was chaos, but it was unified chaos.
So
And then
it's so that I mean I don't see that's not exactly the way things happen, but I also would interject into that the God making the case for Yahweh is about the God who is the greatest unifying force in the universe. I mean that is a statement that has been made
yeah.
about
But see, I don't necessarily see God, especially in the Old Testament, as unifying.
hmm.
I mean, he takes the Israelites, puts them down in Canaan, and says, "Kill everybody."
Well, and maybe not unifying in the sense of people liking each other, but of making whole what is fragmented. Um, I mean, I think that's what the healing stories teach us is that healing is about wholeness. It's not about necessarily a physical sort of healing,
But
and
God,
getting better.
but God fragments at every turn.
Okay.
You see what I mean? I mean, Cain and
Well,
Abel,
yeah, I hear.
fragmentation,
If
Babel.
if
You know?
we if we assign that to God, I am not so willing to assign that to God. I am much more willing to assign that to humanity's um, um, the nature of humanity
Oh,
that God created, right? So that the us human beings, I mean, it gets us all the way back to free will, right?
yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Janet.
I think one of the most amazing sentences, I just really sat with this for a while. Taken together, this is at the bottom of page 21. Taken together, these stories make one of the most audacious claims in all of history. The living God doesn't uphold the status quo, but repeatedly disrupts it and breaks it open
Yeah,
so that something better can emerge and evolve.
yeah,
And I'm thinking about gardening and trying to make neat gardens. Doesn't happen.
yeah.
That's nature.
Mhm.
And I think about change, and I think about what psychologists call cognitive dissonance, which we have to live with if we're going to grow.
Mhm.
And there is a bit of chaos in changing.
Yeah.
We get very confused. We get very sometimes depressed and discouraged because change is not comfortable.
Mhm.
And I wonder I mean, it's a hard thing to think about, but
Oh.
change is messy,
Yeah. Yeah.
and God makes messes.
Yep. I think that's probably one of the most true statements there is.
Yeah.
That God did not create perfection. God created these humans that are really, really messy and make stupid decisions, right?
In our effort to become more like Christ,
Yeah.
we get messy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about Thomas Merton's prayer, and I'm not always happy with that prayer, and I can't recite it right now, but he talks about, I try to do your will, but I mess up all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And I do mess up all the time, but I don't intentionally mess up all the time. But that's
No.
me as a person who
Yeah.
I pray is led by the Spirit.
Yeah.
And so it's a very fine line between messy and organized, and messy and godliness. It hurts my head.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
but I loved that sentence there, just flipped me
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. No, I did.
That he is a God who doesn't want the status quo. And I do like to sit with my prayer book every week and say things from the 15th century.
You bet. You bet.
But at the same time,
That's
there's
okay,
order.
too.
It's very paradoxical.
Yeah. I think that's exactly right. Sharon wants to talk.
Oh, no, Janet said
Yeah.
what I was going to say. So,
Well, and so I want to move on to the next set of readings, but I also do want to pay attention on that page 22 now. At the he kind of is trying to do a little bit of wrapping things up, but he tells us about the ancient stories, um, and that courageously expose how all civilizations were founded on violence and oppression, producing luxury and ease for a few, but exhaustion and degradation for the many. They warn us that unjust structures are unsustainable. They advise that floods of change will sweep injustice away and internal conflicts will thwart arrogant ambitions. They promise that in the long run, justice and reconciliation will prevail over injustice and rivalry. And, then we have comfort and complacency. And there's never a promise in the midst of upheaval and change and, etc., that the innocent will not die.
Yeah.
And I think that we as a culture, a society, are so convinced that that innocence dying is more egregious than horrible, awful people dying.
Yeah.
That's just a hard thing. That's a hard thing. We say that. I mean, that's what the news media wants to interview the person who is going to tell us a story about how horrid it is that there's one. Yes, my heart breaks for all of them, but there is never a promise that in the midst of upheaval and change, that the innocent will make it through. Yeah.
Well, one thing that I love about this book is that McLaren, keeps giving us the whole sweep of the Bible.
Yeah. Yeah.
In our last week, we talked about how he coupled the Genesis story and Philippians 2, that Philippians 2 is a reversal
Yeah.
of the Genesis story.
Oh, yeah.
The Genesis story was one of greed and ambition and wanting to be godlike,
Philippians is the different.
and Philippians was
The opposite.
Yeah.
not taking on, being really humble. And this one, the fact of the
James.
Tower of Babel and the Acts of the Apostles, or Pentecost in the Acts of the Apostles. And I would have never put those two together in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why we appreciate him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's absolutely true. I mean, and that's I think one of the downsides of our reading little snippets on Sunday mornings.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that, I mean, and that's why this is so incredibly important, right? Every single person would take the time out to do this kind of work. And that's why this work is so incredibly important. That Catherine, we see those things. Finally, we see that these stories and these stories, they're all related. They all, you know, and on Sunday mornings when we get snippets, we just can't make those connections. And that's too bad. But that's just one thing that's too bad. So let's move to plotting goodness. So the first story is again a story about damned messy people being called by God. We have Abram and Sarah, um, people of privilege who are called out of that place into a completely and absolutely unknown place with a promise that they will be parents. You know, we know how Sarah picks that one up. She laughs at it. So we have that story, and then we have Galatians. Who's got
I
their
always lose
finger?
Galatians.
Oh yeah, who's got their finger on Galatians? There it is, right there,
Where does that come after, folks? I always lose it.
right in front of Ephesians.
Yep.
Okay. I know it's part of the
Second
E.
Corinthians. We should
I
memorize.
got it. I got it. What
You should
chapter?
memorize the song. My mom, that's one thing my mom could do. She could sing the whole books of the Bible. That's the only thing she learned in Sunday school. Wow.
I have Galatians 3.
So we have Galatians 3:6. So yes, we've got the repeat of this promise.
That's why it's nice to have the tabs.
Yeah, my tabs save me all the time. So that's that. We have that one. Another
And then
exposition of
Mark
the law.
11,
And then Mark 11. We go
15 through 19.
there, and then go back to Mark 11.
Well, this Galatians piece is pretty wild.
Okay, you
I
can't
mean,
say that without saying more about
That's right.
well, and it starts, in 3 verse 6. Just as Abraham believed in God and it was reckoned to him as righteousness, so you see, those who believe are the descendants of Abraham. And the scripture, foreseeing that God would justify the Gentiles by faith, declared the gospel beforehand to Abraham, saying, all the Gentiles will be blessed in you.
Mhm.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that's the whole time tunnel thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? That I mean, I think I have you remember that old 70s TV show, that time tunnel? You know, you always have to remember that um, this is all written looking backwards,
Mhm.
always written looking backwards. And so the writer of Galatians is making this sort of assumption, maybe
Mhm.
um, uh, I don't know if I would say judgment, but
Okay.
making this assumption about and being able to look back and put um, put that on God, who would foresee.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean that happens. That happens all
Mhm.
the time.
but McLaren talks about Abraham and Sarah, that
Mhm.
they will be a blessing.
Yes, that's the promise.
and they will be a blessing for the whole world.
Mm.
But is that when, Jewish people read the Old Testament? Is that what I always thought that it would be a blessing for Israel, not for the whole world.
That's what he says for the whole world.
They will be the father of nations. Go ahead,
Mhm.
Sharon.
Well, our priest preaches on this frequently, that sort of time tunnel thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
he does.
And it strikes me that, I mean, I think this is Paul once again, as he did in Romans, um, trying to reconcile his two halves. And, it may not have been accepted by the church until much, much later, but Paul was really Trinitarian. He really believed that, I think he did anyway, that Jesus was and the Holy Spirit were always part of what happened in ancient times as well as modern times. And and I mean I can perfectly understand that that's how he um explained his belief to himself.
Yeah. And does it have to be either or? Does it have to be only for the Hebrews? I mean, I do know that today that is a very complicated conversation that we are seeing playing out in real time. So yes, indeed, that is true. And at the same time, I mean, I do think I don't know. Just saying that the blessing is for all nations, for all people, anyway, lessen
The
it.
blessing is for all people because Jesus and the Holy Spirit were always
Present.
part of God's blessing.
Okay. Okay. Do you hear that? That was a really important piece. Mary Lou.
How I interpret it, I have always interpreted the Old Testament part is that God chose a certain group of people and he put them in basically the middle of the known world at the time. And that if they had obeyed and lived by how God wanted them to live, they would have attracted to them the rest of the world.
Yeah. As opposed to what they did.
Jane.
Yeah.
And yet God says, go, which is to leave behind where you've been and to leave behind where you had everything fixed as this is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I liked his part about I related to me, the unknown of chapter 6.
So he says this on page 25, McLaren does,
Yeah, that's
at
right.
the bottom. So the story of Abram and Sarah's unique identity, he goes along and talks about identity, which I thought was fabulous, tells us something powerful about God's identity too. God is not the tribal deity of one group of chosen people. God is not for us and against all others. God is for us and for them too. God loves everyone, everywhere, no exceptions. So, Mary Lou, would you take issue with that? Not the God loves.
No, I'm not, I
think
don't take issue with that at all. I'm just saying that it's a matter of attraction, and that if people saw how the Israelites lived, they would see that there is one God, that there is Yahweh,
Okay. So
so that it would spread.
so then we do get to this time time in real time where God is incarnated, fleshed, embodied in the person of Jesus, and that person of Jesus says, "Come, follow me," and this is what that looks like. It looks like loving one another. It looks like feeding one another. It looks like clothing one another. That, as far as my faith goes, is the compelling argument to follow Jesus, right?
But it doesn't say anything different than the Old Testament.
Except that it's, well, go ahead, Sharon.
I was, yeah, to piggyback on what Mary Lou said, I mean, along with all the awful stories of war and impalement, there are the injunctions to feed your neighbor, to clothe your neighbor, to welcome the stranger, to have Jubilee years so that everyone eats.
Yeah.
I think those tend to get lost in all of the stories of butchery, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And but if you look from the beginning through to the end, God has always wanted us to love one another. That's always been the commandment. Love the Lord your God and love your neighbor as yourself. That's
But then
always been it.
So,
But we ignore it.
yeah.
so within that is um, that not only is it love you people I've created, love your neighbor, love the one next to you, love the one down the street, love the one across the world. But it is also, and I love you. I mean, that's the one that comes first. And I love you, and there's nobody outside of that statement. Is that true in the Old Testament? That's what is that in that what you just described, Sharon? Is that statement true?
Well, I think so. If you're supposed to
I
love
agree.
the stranger, welcome the stranger in,
That's true.
I think that that's what God's saying.
So McLaren says on page 26 at the top, that top paragraph, true faith isn't a deal where we use God to get the inside track or a special advantage or a secret magic formula for success, which people really do believe. It isn't a mark of superiority or exclusion. True faith is about joining God in God's love for everyone.
If we could just take that paragraph and one, live it, and B, talk about it. Wow.
Yeah.
It would, and you get the other sides, and I'm sitting here looking at this, and then I'm thinking, okay, and in Genesis, why didn't God like that one offering? And turn, you get this dichotomy of love God, love your neighbor, and then you get God saying, nope, yours no good. And I'm like, wait, whoa, which I may not bother thinking about too much. I think what he said on page 26 is more important. And as you say, Kathy, what does that look like?
Yeah.
School supply, Echo people, school supply.
Yeah. What is it? Well, go ahead, Yvonne, and then Jane.
Well, and speaking of Jane, my head keeps going back to your comment, Jane, about assimilation. Why was he against assimilation? And in my head, assimilation is become like me. fit in. And God wants, it doesn't matter where people live, it doesn't matter what they're like. We're to love them. We're not to push them to assimilate before we can love them. I mean, I haven't been able to get that out of my head ever since you said it, Jane.
Well, and I think that's a really important statement. That might be the value people have as they, for example, come to this country. But that's not up to us. What's up to us is to love them even before that ever happened. Go ahead, Jane.
I was just thinking of another thing that, going back to Noah, that struck me in reading those verses. The idea of building the ark and who to invite on the ark. It includes clean and unclean animals. Why didn't he just put clean ones on the ark?
Yeah.
And I think that's our world today. We keep wanting to separate. We make distinctions and judgments.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's everyone.
And Noah, for all of his faults, I mean, we don't hear his daughters get to be on the ark. Noah, for all of his,
sons and their wives.
yeah, Noah and all of his faults, which are legion. Yeah, it's pretty much everyone except his daughters get to be there. Yeah.
So next week, what are we doing?
Well, before we get to next week, I want to leave us with the last words that McLaren says on page 26, because I think they are so incredibly important. Are you ready to step out on the same journey of faith with Sarah and Abraham? Will you join them in the adventure of being blessed to be a blessing?
Awesome.
Are you ready to make the road by walking?
That's fantastic.
Oh my gosh, if that's not a call to doing what we've seen needs,
Right.
I don't know what it is. Yeah.
Fantastic. And that's the hardest part.
Yeah. And because I think I think for so many, the blessing stops at them, right? Oh, I'm so blessed. That's right.
Well, and he talks about aliveness
And aliveness.
so much through this book, and he says,
Yeah.
true aliveness comes when we receive blessings and become blessings to others.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I don't know.
No good being blessed if you don't share it.
Yeah,
That's right.
And I always have kind of a trouble with the whole concept of being blessed.
Yeah, I do too. I do. Those T-shirts. I'm blessed. That's and it's like,
and what does it say underneath? And you're not.
and you're not. I mean,
Isn't that rather? Yeah. That I can't think of the right word, but that's exactly what we're talking about. Not.
Yeah. Maybe it should say you are blessed.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be? We could all run around with T-shirts that say you are blessed.
Like the T-shirts that have the message on the back that say, like you are important. It's something you want people to read and
right. Yeah. My son Tom has one of those on the back side. It says you are. Yeah.
All right. I will see you all next week.
So we got chapter 7 and chapter 8. Does that sound like a good amount?
Yep.
Sure.
All right.
Hey, it's so great seeing you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.